Hi, I'm Sandy West, and today I'm going to talk about the successful teaching practices specific to the cultural learning styles of rural Alaska Natives. Our current education system is failing Alaska Native students. The National Assessment of Educational Progress showed that Alaska Native and American Indian students are more than twice as likely as their white peers to score at the lowest level in reading, and almost 3 times as likely to score at the lowest level in math. In response, the Alaska Department of Education and Early Development is in the process of replacing the No Child Left Behind Act of 2001 with the Every Student Succeeds Act, a new federal law that imposes requirements for public school achievement with insight and flexibility. Research shows that Indigenous students thrive in instructional environments that honor their unique culture and linguistic heritage. The Every Student Succeeds Act encourages teaching practices specific to rural Alaska that engage Native students, empower rural teachers, and increase the social identity and sovereignty of Native communities. The Every Student Succeeds Act will provide $80 million in federal funds for Alaska schools, including funding for Native language immersion programs, money specifically earmarked for community and family engagement, and outreach encouraging educational activities that incorporate tribal leaders. ESSA understands the importance of hosting tribal elders in the classroom, as they are often the only remaining speakers of the community's traditional language. Since the 1820s, boarding schools have been used as a means to eradicate traditional Alaska Native culture. Boarding schools taught students that Western ideals mattered and their own culture was unacceptable and shameful. Boarding schools took Alaska Native children out of their homes, villages, and culture. In school, children were not allowed to speak their native languages, and traditional dancing was prohibited. The mandatory school schedule did not allow time for children to assist in subsistence activities. Since then, we've learned that teaching is more successful when there is a sense of cultural continuity within the classroom, achieved by organizing and conducting school in a functionally similar way to community and cultural norms. Schooling should include singing, dancing, storytelling, mythology, laughter, and silence. Silence is embraced as a time for introspection and collective mindfulness for a greater and better life. Alaska Natives need to administer and control their own schools. Schools should be designed using the cooperative approach, traditional and village culture, and include input from tribal leaders, elders, teachers, parents, and students. Curriculum should be local and reflect the community's culture and history. Education should reflect Native values such as caring, sharing, cooperation, harmony, and interconnectedness with the environment and each other. Curriculum in rural schools should not be compartmentalized into subject areas, but should strive to develop decision-making skills, analytical and critical thinking, and recognize that there are many ways of doing things. Curriculum should be ecologically oriented and pragmatic, prioritizing food collection and storage, and survival strategies. Science should be taught through direct interaction with the environment using observations, and children should get outside as much as possible. So forgive my pronunciation. The Ayagpring-Aliknarvik-Yupik Immersion School in Bethel, Alaska, was formed as a charter with a mission to provide a high-quality immersion education. 170 students in kindergarten through 6th grade go to the school, and the curriculum is based on what's offered in the rest of the lower Yukon-Kuskokwim School District. Another example of a successfully locally administered school is the Rough Rock, Arizona Navajo Immersion School. The school board in Rough Rock, Arizona developed a sustainable bilingual and bicultural education program by encouraging Navajo residents already tied to the community to become elementary school teachers. These teachers' presence as community members and their investment in the community's children helped stabilize the school curriculum and infuse it with Navajo linguistic and cultural knowledge. In rural Alaska, a non-native teacher can be seen as the enemy and treated with silence, resistance, and mistrust. While Indigenous teachers understand the cultural nuances of the community and are able to interact with students in a manner that is recognized and appropriate, non-Indigenous teachers organize, conduct, and reward students in ways quite different from the community's prevailing values. Whenever possible, Alaska Native teachers should be teaching Alaska Native students. Under No Child Left Behind, there were strict requirements for teachers to be highly qualified. According to the McDowell Group, in 2001, only 5% of teachers in Alaska were Alaska Native. ESSA removed strict definitions and requirements for highly qualified teachers so public schools can better leverage the wisdom and knowledge of tribal elders as teachers, without requiring them to go through lengthy and irrelevant certification processes. The increased emphasis on standardized and high-stakes accountability under the No Child Left Behind Act of 2001 resulted in less culturally responsive educational efforts and more Indigenous children being left behind in American schools. Indigenous people have traditionally acquired their knowledge through direct experience in the natural world, with the particulars understood in relation to the whole and the laws continually tested in the context of everyday survival. In Western terms, competency is assessed based on predetermined ideas of what a person should know, which is then measured indirectly through various forms of objective tests. The Alaska Department of Education and Early Development's testing requirements have paralleled statewide trends in high-stakes testing, not necessarily taking into account the learning styles of Alaska Natives. Between 2004 and 2014, Alaska required high school graduates to pass the high school graduation qualifying exam. In 2015 and 16, graduates had to take, but not necessarily score high on, the ACT, SAT, or WorkKeys test. Current high school students only have to complete their high school's curriculum in order to receive a diploma. I live in Juneau, Alaska, and I wanted to talk about some of the ways that our local schools are incorporating Tlingit knowledge and culture into everyday schooling. The National American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, NAGPRA, was not in effect until the 1990s. In 1956, the City and Juneau Assembly voted in favor of the displacement and covering over of the Douglas Indian Cemetery to build the Douglas Highway and Gastineau Elementary School, without consultation or permission from the relatives of the deceased. In 2017, as part of A Time for Healing, the Gold Belt Heritage Foundation and the Juneau School District's Indian Education Program placed a 26-foot-tall raven totem pole on the grounds of the former cemetery at Gastineau School. The raising of the raven pole is a memorial of past injustices and a step to restore peace, dignity, and respect. This is a photo at Harborview Elementary School of 3 carvers carving the wolf totem pole. If you look closely at the picture, you can see the school in the background on the upper right. The carvers are carving the pole in a portion on the school grounds near the playground. Between the carvers and the playground there is a chain link fence set up, but students on the playground and in the classroom have been able to watch the carvers working for about a year to carve the pole. The totem pole was raised and placed at Savago Park to memorialize the deliberate burning of the Douglas Indian Village in 1962, and honors the residents who lost their homes. Thank you.